Shalom, Yasharala Shalom. All praises to the Most High, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. I actually want to cover a very interesting video I seen from this creator called Days of Noah. A brother that I used to congregate with, I want to say like 4 years ago, he had actually first mentioned that he would watch some of the videos on this guy's channel. And long story short, I had noticed a video that had came on over the weekend. I think it was like on a Shabbat or Friday, one of them days. And he was just going over in regards to the aspect of, if you still trust Trump, you have been warned. And like I said in some of my community posts around the time when he got elected in November, I felt like so many people had a false sense of security because Trump was going to be in office. Because essentially the powers that be, they have really spun the narrative on who was responsible for inflation, who was responsible for the war when it came to the Ukraine and Russia, Hamas and Israel. And more so than that, the fact that you had somebody like Trump trying to come in and essentially put his name on the fact that he's going to reverse all these things. When you do real understanding on the policies of the presidents, the policies of the administration, Trump is, I don't know how to say this the right way, but he is a pillar of the house that they're trying to build. So when you fall for what Trump is telling you and you believe Trump is this great savior for white America and he's going to bring America back to what it once was, no disrespect, but you lack a lot of spiritual discernment, because Trump is no different from Biden. Again, two wings on the same bird, two sides on the same coin. So this brother, he did a real good video in regards to Trump and his role when it comes to CBDC, or central bank digital currency. There's been a lot of talk about it even today, being that he got inaugurated. For those of y'all who keep up with different stocks and cryptocurrencies, there was I forgot what the name of it is, like a moon coin, or it's like a penny stock equivalent of a cryptocurrency tied towards Trump. They call it the meme coin. That's what it is, like Trump meme or something. And essentially during his inauguration, the stock skyrocketed from like, I don't know exactly the price. It was like $1, $2 to around like $60, $70 over the last few days. And people are getting rich off of a stock tied to Trump. Even if you go on that site, a brother had mentioned in the Patreon, you have a coin for Elon, a coin for Melanie Trump. So essentially what they've been doing over the last few months, if y'all been paying attention to Trump during his presidency, crypto has been going crazy. XRP, Ethereum, Bitcoin, you have this one. And what they're really doing is they're starting to, get the masses extremely integrated with digital currencies. To be honest, one of the biggest things that Trump is going to do with his legacy over the next 4 years is he's going to make cryptocurrencies and digital dollars, some form of payment through digital, people so acclimated that a lot of people are going to start to pay through their digital dollar or through the, electrical currency. Because right now, the thing that happened with COVID, a lot of people don't understand this. One of the biggest things with C-19 is that they wanted people to be instilled in fear for using paper currency. Remember during that time, they said, we're not currently accepting paper dollars. And I immediately thought red flag. That the fact that you wearing a mask, which is made of paper, but you're afraid to pay for things in paper, they're essentially programming people to get accustomed to not having actual hard cash. And you notice since that time, things like Apple Pay, things like Samsung Pay, and obviously, the implementation of cryptocurrencies has gotten people very acclimated to electrical payment systems outside of what, they were doing with electrical cards. And the cards, C-A-R-D-S. And the reason why is because they're again prepping the masses for a one world order, a one world government, one world religion, and a one world currency. And there's a few reasons, but this guy, he really went into it, a very good point on it. So I figured I'd just do a video and just try to give further context and further perspective into what's going on.
Isn't it fascinating how Trump is just coming in, making these like world-changing points? So a part of this, aside from just the overall infrastructure change and repositioning, deglobalization, reconstruction of this kind of new digital world that they're building, wedged in between there is a new currency, is a completely new digital economy. So I want to show some evidence of this as Trump is I believe, over these next 4 years is going to attempt to build this thing out.
And see, that's the thing that you have to understand. The two-party system is designed to implement certain changes, but to keep the country on a trajectory towards where the elites want it to be. You have to really understand, for a country to truly change long-term, there has to be a long-term plan, 10, 15, 20 years. Like if you look up the history of the USSR with Joseph Stalin, he had a policy called the 5-year plan, where he essentially worked to industrialize the Soviet Union to the point where they could be self-sustainable when it came to a lot of the things that they were producing, compared to importing a lot of these materials for like military and things like that. And my point is that it takes 5, 10, 15 years. So if you have one president coming in and doing this, and another president coming in and doing something completely different, the true agenda of the elites is what both presidents are doing during their term. When you look at Obama, when you look at Clinton, when you look at the second Bush, when you look at Trump, they all do what? They bring in a lot of fiat currencies to continue to spike and balloon the U.S. debt. Not only that, but they continue to feed into the U.S. military industrial complex. But one supports marriage, and the other one supports freedom of speech, allegedly. But those aren't the things that they're really fighting for. They're really fighting for the things that are going to progress this country into the NWO, the New World Order. Because think about this. If Trump is somebody who's setting up the infrastructure for a digital currency, the next president or the next leader is going to obviously use that. It's the same thing with Biden, and then before with Obama. So y'all have to look and see what patterns are they building over the last 10, 15, 20 years, and that'll give you a good understanding for where they want to go. AI is going to be here. Tech is going to be here. Digitalization is going to be here. Forget all this, TikTok, and forget all this, Biden's bringing equal employment, bro. That's temporary stuff that you can take advantage of for a term, but long term, this society, this nation, this globe is going down that digital path. And that's going to be a lot of implications that he's going to speak of. It's
going to be done creatively through deconstruction and destruction, creative destruction. And that's going to be through war. That's going to be through crisis. That's how they build these things.
I will ensure that the future of crypto and the future of Bitcoin will be made in the USA, not driven overseas. I will support the right to self-custody to the nation's 50 million crypto holders. I say this with your vote. I will keep Elizabeth Warren and her goons away from your Bitcoin. And I will never allow the creation of a central bank digital currency.
So he said, I will never allow the creation of a central bank digital currency, basically CBDC. I'm going to be honest, this man would be assassinated within a week if he really was trying to implement that. I get it. He did have assassination attempts, but you have to understand that all of those events were scripted, they were pre-planned. He threw up the fist of Baal to show you his true allegiance, obviously. So, again, if he was really here to protect this system, he would have reverted away from the system as far as possible. He would have tried to instill gold and silver so that way we wouldn't be dependent on a fiat currency that continues to envelop us in debt. So again, Trump may try to bring in new innovation, say that Elon Musk is his boy and they're going to bring the Department of Government Efficiency. But at the end of the day, he's still going to lead this country and the citizens of this country down that digital path. Whether he's telling you he's going to quote unquote, think about this, he's going to protect your Bitcoin. Okay, how long you going to be in office, bro? 4 years? You see how quickly it went from 2020 to 2024? Even if he does that, the next president is going to do something drastically different.
So this is key, and you guys remember this clip. It's very important that he says this because that's what everyone's afraid of. It's not that we should be afraid of CBDCs. Surely they're problematic, but that's not the only problem. It's the overall infrastructure. It's the overall dependence of certain digital technologies connected to blockchain that are fully transparent and interoperable, but also connected to, say, aspects of our bodies and our person. That's the real problem. And you will get this with whether it be Bitcoin or crypto, stablecoins, all these things. It's the overall infrastructure that is extremely problematic. Now, if it's allowed to function in some type of independent way alongside other lower technological economies like cash and possibly the digital type of payment system we have now, if they could both exist, I mean, I'd probably have less of an issue. But when we look at the mark of the beast and the direction of a lot of the singularity, it's looking like they're going to slowly try to phase out cash and all these things. And they could do it quickly through certain types of crisis. We've already discussed this, but it's fact.
So, he said a lot in that. And he's basically saying, like, if you have Bitcoin, if you have Ethereum, a lot of these different cryptocurrencies, he would have less of a problem if they were using it as an asset diversification. Like, for those of y'all brothers who invest, people tell you to invest in gold and silver as a hedge against inflation. And then what you want to have is like a 401k. That way, down the line, your stock portfolio within the 401k can beat inflation so you can retire. And then obviously for those of y'all who are in the stock market, you have regular stocks and ETFs, or you have real estate. So essentially what you're doing is you have a different diversification of assets within your money supply. In the event one doesn't work, you have it as a hedge. So he's basically saying to have Bitcoin as an alternative. But what he understands is that ultimately the people who run this country, mainly the people who are in control of the financial framework of this country, they don't want you to rely on cash because their pattern has been to wean people slowly but surely off of the use of an actual dollar. So that's the reason why you're noticing since Trump came into office, what happened with all these cryptos. They all went up damn near 100% in 2 months. Crazy. Bitcoin from 50,000 to 100,000. XRP, I think it went from like 50 cents to $3, whatever it may be. And look, those things are great. Obviously, if you're just the average person working a job and you're not trying to like hedge your dollar from inflation, you're going to be screwed within the next few years. But ultimately, we're all going to be screwed because the more dependent and accessible these digital currencies are, the easier it is for this government to track us. Like what he said, they want total transparency. So it could be easy for them to implement because they're going to say, hey, look, we realize that due to paper cash, we missed out on $5 billion of tax revenue. So we're going to make sure we have a central, because one, they can track you. But two, there's somebody in the comments where they spoke about the trucker strike that happened in Canada and how because they knew who those truckers were, they could block them from access to payments like PayPal, through Cash App, through Venmo, through Zelle, do different electrical things where you are literally at the mercy of your government. And then you also have a government that wants you to be more dependent on public farming, public, herding of animals. They want to control your water supply. They want to control where you can live. Ultimately, bro, we live in a society where you don't have any real freedom of rights to do things because this is the beast that will, come down upon us with great wrath because, again, they know that their time is short. All the UFO sightings, all the signs of the time the Most High has done with, the solar eclipse or the blood moons, they know. They have a good understanding spiritually on the time frame when Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai is going to judge them. But ultimately, at the end of the day, they're the ones in power and they have to set up this beast system to fulfill prophecy. So for those of us who are living in these times, we have to understand their intention so we can have discernment and be prudent and stay away from what they're building, or try to be as prepared for what they're building and understand why they're doing the things that they're doing. And again, a key aspect of that is to not trust this false savior named Donald J.
Saying how
Trump.
They're really selling this. Like, look, I'm not bringing in CBDCs. I'm going to bring in the digital currencies. I'm going to allow you to have your Bitcoin and have your crypto. And I think that's a type of Trojan horse, unfortunately. And he's really gung-ho about it, just like he's gung-ho about the juicy juice, jabs.
I will.
Just like the Trojan horse for C-19 had nothing to do with, a quote-unquote sickness, but had everything to do with the degradation of the actual paper currency, the fiat currency, as well as programming people to essentially be okay with a medical dictatorship.
Crypto. And I think that's a type of Trojan horse, unfortunately. And he's really gung-ho about it, just like he's gung-ho about the juicy juice, jabs.
I will ensure that the future of crypto and the future of Bitcoin will be made in the USA, not driven overseas. I will support the right.
There it is. There's the techno-nationalism. the digital currency system, basically, is what he's saying. We're going to beat China. It's techno-nationalism. Those that have been following this show and this work over the years, you guys, it's all making sense to you because we've covered all of these things far in advance. This is the info war. This is the battle. We're here for it. And of course, ultimately, we want to bring people to Christ because that's what's most important. That's what safeguards us from all of these worldly things and all of this nonsense. So we won't sell our souls once they make the offer, because they will.
Yeah, and that's what we got to understand. That's why we got to focus on, higher things, the spiritual things, because no matter what we may try to do, no matter whatever preparations we may have and, like survival skills we may have, only through the power of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai are you going to make it through. Only through the testimony of the Lamb and through his blood are you going to be preserved and forgiven for the things that you've done. And just to get through these times, bro, because you ain't outrunning these artificial intelligent bots, these drones that are literally watching your every move. Like, you have to understand. Also, I think another aspect with them showing the drones is for you to get more acclimated with a big brother system, with surveillance. I've seen a video a couple months ago about how, again, America, they have this huge tracking system. It's actually kind of similar to what China has with all the cameras, where again, they order every car according to their license plate, the registration, things like that. And then as you travel through these different lands and you go to certain places, they're able to track where they deemed your license plate, so they can track your movements and see where you're at. If a cop pulled you over, they'll never tell you this, but it's very likely that they can track your movements within the car within the last 12 hours, 1 day, 2 days, because again, America has quickly advanced into a very technological society where they can track you, but they're not going to outwardly say it, because that's what's going on in China. And while Trump and these people like to combat against China and China's against us and they're trying to spy, in actuality, behind the scenes, they're all growing this global framework for the beast.
Now let's go back to 2020. Check it out.
Worker, we want every citizen, regardless of age or background, to have the cutting-edge skills to compete and succeed in tomorrow's workplace. This includes critical industries like artificial intelligence, quantum computing, and 5G.
There it is. He is fully on board, a techno-optimist, techno-nationalist, accelerationist. Maybe a soft version, but he is all about it. That's why he pushed the novel Juice Tech on the earth in rapid speed. He wants to bring in the pervasive AI infrastructure. He wants to bring in all the networking systems, the 5, 6, 7G. He's all about it. Let's not be naive about what is going on right now.
And the reason why he's bringing this up is because, again, artificial intelligence, I've been looking into different tech jobs, and bro, they have so much technology that they're trying to, introduce to the masses. And the more technology with all the AI and all that, the less jobs you have. Elon Musk talking about having all these robots launched on the scene within, bro, look who literally said this. Elon Musk. This is the person in Trump's right-hand man. All electronic vehicles. Think about this. You have Joe Biden, who has all these environmental things. Oh, keep the environment clean. But then you have Elon Musk rooting for the guy Donald Trump, who's supposedly going against what Biden had to offer. When you read between the lines, you understand that they're all a part of this game. They're all a part of this global system. Even if Trump says he doesn't want to do all this environmental things, he's backing a guy who wants nothing but self-driving cars that can run on electrical currents. Is that not a part of the NWO and how they want to be able to control and track you and limit your movement without relying on a global grid? Come on now. I mean, even going into, again, AI, that's going to replace people's jobs. What are you going to be able to do to survive? You're going to need universal basic income. Once that becomes digital, now it's on your phone. Now it's on your digital ID. And then eventually with Elon and, a lot of the things he's doing with the, I forgot the name of they call it the Neuralink, which is really just synonymous for the technology used for the mark of the beast. This is the same guy that Trump is backing. When Trump is saying that, Christ is king. Would Christ want you to be a part of a digital world? Come on, bro. That's where you got to have knowledge and wisdom. So all the people who are saying Trump this, Trump that, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. No disrespect.
Workplace.
He wants to succeed. He wants to lead the world, make America great again. The world leader. What? The world leader in fourth industrial to fifth industrial technologies.
Have the cutting edge skills to compete and succeed in tomorrow's workplace. This includes critical industries like artificial intelligence, quantum computing, and 5G.
Quantum computing is the future of the singularity. Their ultimate goal is to create artificial intelligence, quantum physics, sensing, the ability to be at the quantum level of physics. This is what they're trying to do. So when you hear even Trump talking about quantum computing, it's like, oh, well, damn. The government is fully on board with these highly transhumanist technologies.
And I don't know too much about quantum computing. Again, as I'm getting more, ingratiated with the tech world, they are talking about that and how essentially when quantum computing, hits the scene, it's going to be a huge revolution. I was talking with a brother about it. I don't know too much, so I can't speak on it. But one thing that I do know is that it's going to allow for the advancement of society at a pace that most people, to be honest with you, when the scripture speaks about the beast that will perform many miracles and people will worship the beast, a lot of this technology that they're coming up with, whether it be AI, whether it be through, gene modification and, picking your baby before it's born, they are literally becoming their version of the Most High, because that is their God complex that they have. And with quantum computing, they're gonna have a lot of breakthroughs, whether it be through medical, whether it be through like just a whole bunch. Y'all can do some research. You can ask ChatGPT; it'll give you a full overview.
Warning people about a flood, but I'm warning people about a type of digital storm that's coming. That's already here.
This is why I do think a crypto czar is critically important, because there's a lot of promises, as you mentioned, and they're across the board. It's not just the SEC chair does this. You need tax writers to make sure that the moratorium on capital gains taxes on U.S. crypto that he's promised is done. You're going to need the White House counsel's office to write the executive orders to end what they call choke point 2.0, the debanking of crypto. You're going to need somebody to run this crypto council.
And you think he'll do it?
Oh, I think he's committed to do it because it's part of his overall. Look, Trump wants to create the second industrial revolution in America.
And
he misspoke there. He means the fourth industrial, going into the fifth. Trump wants an industrial revolution. He's bringing in the next industrial revolution. It's happening in 2025, and their goal is by 2030 to actually be to a certain point, but this is their goal.
Committed to do it because it's part of his overall. Look, Trump wants to create the second industrial revolution in America.
And he thinks crypto is one of the paths.
Part of it, along with nanotechnology, AI, quantum computing, biotechnologies. If we could go from where we've been the last few years, which resistance to innovation, to really furthering innovation, we might be able to get to that 4.5% growth rate.
Growth rate. Right back to the neoliberal capitalist model.
And essentially, when you study like different people who speak on the economy and where, the United States is going, many of them say the only way that America can stop itself from collapsing is through some type of, futuristic technological advancement. Now, again, I'm not the Most High. I'm not a prophet of the Most High, so I can't speak on what exactly is going to happen in the future in regards to how it's going to look. But what the elites and the people who have planned, they plan to use technology as the safe haven for the regular people of the world. Control chaos, whether it be through supernatural events, the collapse of the fiat currency, the US dollar, a lot of stage events, whether it be the war in Russia and Ukraine, the war in Taiwan, really Taiwan and China. That's the main one I think is going to be the powder keg. That's something that more than likely is going to happen this decade. And it could potentially happen during Trump. And Trump, he ain't going to just sit back. Even Biden wouldn't just sit back and allow that to happen. So, you just got to look for a lot of controlled chaos when it comes to these global wars, where they allow chaos to go out on the street. They come in with some type of order, some type of structure to keep the people at bay. And, then they implement a unified system. It makes the most sense when you look at how things are lining up You know, this isn't the 1990s, this isn't the 1950s, bro. These are things that we can literally see right in front of us, and we can see how things are playing out, which lets you know that we're in the end times, which is why the days are going by so quickly. We're already at the end of January, and we just blinked, and it was the quote-unquote new
Now we
year,
understand
right?
It's not legitimate free market neoliberalism. It's by design, controlled, managed, manipulated, tinkered, misrepresented techno-capital, or digitalism.
Oh, damn.
Think about what a lot of crap Elon Musk has been talking about we're not reproducing, and this is true. You know, we are depopulating ourselves culturally by not having children and forming families, but this is what happens in a high technological society. This is what happens. And not just first world or developed societies, when they're highly technological, we see it we see the decrease in population increase faster. Japan and Korea are perfect examples of that. Highly technological societies that are decreasing at like rapid fire. Well, we have a solution for that. We have a solution for that.
I could argue in the developed countries, the big winners are countries that have shrinking populations. That's something that most people never talked about. You know, we always used to think shrinking population is a cause for negative growth. But in my conversations with the leadership of these large developed countries that have xenophobic immigration policies, they don't allow anybody to come in.
He's talking about xenophobia. That's because in this new network state multipolar kind of arrangement, this new world order or new world system, culture, nationalism, even like ethnic identity and borders are to be kind of obsolesced and disregarded as important anymore, because now what's important is this new type of monoculture of say, popular culture online, right? Where now we have screen-agers, right, that are learning about life, learning about themselves, and mimicking culture that they've learned through the screen. This is becoming international. So we're already creating this type of international network state monoculture. I call it cultural futurism, through the screens, through the social media.
And that's kind of instilling, because again, when it comes to the New World Order, the one world government, again, it's a government system, it's a currency, and it's a religion. So you have to understand, people like streamers, social media, a lot of these narratives that you see on YouTube, that's what they're pumping out to all these different lands, whether it be through Mexico, you know, I visited Jamaica in a certain extent, America, Africa, Europe, Asia. They're all getting a similar form of communication and way of thinking. You know, you have to remember, since 2020, a lot of these kids are so used to everything through the digital, everything through the iPad. So a lot of the nationalism that we've learned in our books when it comes to history and things like that, they're going to probably start to de-emphasize them. If any of our brothers have kids, y'all should ask them if they're really learning about the history of the world. Because even if it's just his story, a biased narrative on the country that you live in, if they're going more towards a global aspect of everybody holds hands, it's because they're leading them down that path.
That bleeds into the actual geographic, physical locations. They have no allegiance. There's no loyalty to nation state or nationhood or nationalism. Every place is just an opportunity to collect resources and data and make transactions, et cetera, et cetera. So this new type of multipolar network world system is going to be disrespecting borders, is going to be disrespecting these kind of what they would call xenophobic perspectives. And this is why we see a lot of this kind of forced influx and flooding of immigrants into certain populations and regions, whether that be the UK, parts of America. Aspects of borders and nationalism safeguard certain regions from being corrupted, say culturally, but more importantly technologically, because the multipolar elite system wants to exploit weak borders and exploit weak culture and push this type of futurism on everyone.
The leadership of these large developed countries that have xenophobic immigration policies, they don't allow anybody to come in, shrinking unemployment, shrinking demographics. These countries will rapidly develop robotics and AI and technology. And if the promise, I didn't say it's going to happen, but if the promise of all that transforms productivity, which most of us think it will, we'll be able to elevate the standard of living.
Wow, you hear what he's saying? All you gotta do is
Real quick. Essentially, this dude is just saying that through all the things that you're hearing about, declining birth rates, women and men not coming together to have children. Because at the end of the day, if you want to have a strong society, you need a group of people below you or younger than you to essentially support the older generation. The U.S. was built off of what? Social security, income tax, welfare. If the government does not have a tax revenue, there's no way that they can continue to fund these different programs that people are dependent on, because at the end of the day, we are essentially a huge welfare state because the government is in every aspect of this society. So if you don't have a generation after that's working, that's hardworking, that's generating revenue, especially for the generations like Generation X, the baby boomers, which are literally coming into their retirement age or are in their retirement age, the system is going to collapse in itself. So what they want to do is they want to bring in a lot of these technologies as a fail-safe, because he said places like Japan, places like Korea, they're going through a lot of the things. They're going through that movement that these crazy broads was talking about, where they don't want to date men because of the election. What is it? Zine XB, whatever dumbass movement it was. And also just these places are full of feminism. They're full of, I don't need a man. We don't need to have a family. I can rely on the government. Essentially, robotics, artificial intelligence, and technology is going to be the support that these societies need to continue to move forward. Places like Africa don't necessarily need this. South America. But because everybody's trying to follow America, everybody's trying to follow Australia, everybody's trying to follow Europe, they're going to implement these technologies in the West first and then bring them to these other lands as a way for the world to be able to deal with a lot of the global problems, whether it be the environment, whether it be, nationalism. Because again, Trump is just political opposition for all the things that go against the global order. Trump goes against that. Nationalism, tariffs, the freedom of speech, strong traditional Christian values under Christ. So whoever is going to come after Trump, it may not be immediate, but the next major ideology that was similar to Barack Hussein Obama, he's going to be extremely liberal and extremely towards the New World Order. That's why I'm telling y'all, be very, pay a lot of attention to a lot of the crises that are happening. Even when you look at this whole TikTok thing, they're saying, oh, Trump is going to bring back TikTok. Oh, with Israel and Hamas, it wouldn't have happened without Trump. Bro, it's too freaking obvious. The Most High is making it so obvious what they're trying to do if you pay attention. So you guys got to stay focused. Stop worrying about all this other bullshit in the world, about what these women are doing and sports. Like, yeah, that stuff is cool. You listen to it, but focus on the bigger spiritual picture, because if not, it's very obvious. But if you're dealing in things within the world too much, you're not going to be able to see what's going on.
Let us flood you with all of our technologies. Plug in. We're gonna raise the standard of living for individuals. This is the sales point. This is what Trump is preparing the America, but also the West for, right? The acceptance of this, and these are the sales points.
And technology and physics will rapidly develop robotics and AI and technology. And if the promise, I didn't say it's going to happen, but if the promise of all that transforms productivity, which most of us think it will, we'll be able to elevate the standard of living of countries and the standard of living of individuals, even with shrinking populations. And so the paradigm of negative population growth is going to be changing. And the social problems that one will have in substituting humans for machines is going to be far easier in those countries that have declining populations.
Did you just hear what bro said? He said in countries that have developing population, it's going to be far easier, or developed population, it's going to be far easier for you to transform from human to robot. Did you not just hear? Let's run it back, bro. Hold up.
The paradigm of negative population growth is going to be changing. And the social problems that one will have in substituting humans for machines is going to be far easier in those countries that have declining populations. And so for those countries that have rising populations, the answer will be education, and so rapidly developing. You know, for those countries that
Education, he means conditioning. We're going to get in there and force these technologies and cultures on them. We're going to re-educate them.
do not have a foundation of rule of law or education, they're going to be left. That's where the divide's going to get more and more extreme.
So basically, evolve.
And that's why you got China essentially colonizing Africa nowadays. Again, you have the strong American influence in Central and South America, parts of Europe. But China is going to really be one of the main global heads for this, again, because they're already communistic. They have a lot of these things that we're speaking of in this video. They already are leading the world in it. So Trump is just trying to get America on par. So essentially, China and America are going to be ramping up to see who can be the most technologically advanced, when in the background, essentially, they're just leading people more towards that one world order, that new world order. So, you know, this video is almost done. Again, this is a good video. Again, the page is called Days of Noah. If you still trust Trump, you've been warned. You know, you guys can check it out on your own time, but Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. Again, brothers, stay vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, roameth about as a roaring lion, seeketh whom he may devour. So, Lord willing, y'all brothers, stay vigilant. I give all praises to Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua.